Welcome back to Right on the Money, the go-to resource for your financial decisions. Now, our guest today, Roy Carlson, president of Carlson Financial Services, and we've been talking about stewardship, ownership, and your finances. And Roy, one of the questions I have, you've talked about the journey that your practice has been on. Could you give an example of this concept in your own life?
Sure, absolutely. So early on in my professional life with my wife, we were both incredibly busy. And so being able to eat out was a huge convenience and it meant a lot. But until we actually counted the cost, we found that the way our money was being allocated was not consistent with what really mattered to us. So being able to look at how we're spending, where we're saving and how we're giving allows us to be able to determine whether or not that's really consistent with our values and our faith.
Well, let me ask you this. Are you still teaching Bible-based money management?
Well, in a different form. So today we're offering the Biblical Financial Stewardship series. We're offering that for 3 different demographic groups, but the same core concepts are there, which is the stewardship versus ownership and recognizing God as the owner of all.
Now, you'd mentioned giving early when we were talking. Are you only teaching about giving in this program?
No, absolutely not. As a matter of fact, in the over 2,500 or almost 2,500 scriptures that deal with money, possessions, and wealth, we're covering the entire gamut of financial planning subject matter.
Well, so what would you say? Because gosh, that's so many verses. I had no idea. What are some of the key areas that you're helping Christian clients with?
Sure. We talk about cash management, cash flow management, and also cash reserve. We talk about the protection component. So really having our insurances line up with our understanding of God's will in that area. Taking a look at taxes and making sure we're paying to Caesar what's owed to Caesar, but not a dollar more. Investment planning, so considering things like, well, what are the things that we're supporting in our investment portfolio?
Yeah,
but also looking at tactical allocation and strategic allocation. And then retirement/redirection planning, because we don't find retirement as a biblical concept, but redirection is very common in Scripture. And even in estate design. So if we recognize God as the owner, then we certainly want to consult with Him as we go to be with Him in the next life.
So, Roy, what is the goal of estate design for Christians?
Well, it's a few things. Number one, we want to please the owner, so we want to do things that are consistent with our understanding of God's will. But we also want to make sure that our children are hugging at our funeral and 10 years later.
That is a great point to keep families together and after. What are some of the unique challenges, though, that are presented for Christians that are who sell businesses or suddenly gain wealth and have a desire to give? How does that work?
So the unique challenge is now you're having the largest windfall of your entire life, and a lot of believers want to make sure that they honor God and give a gift from the much. But at the same time, they don't want to burden a ministry with dollars that they may not have the capacity to be able to work with all the time.
That's a good point.
So that's number one. The other thing is, do I give $100,000 now, or do I give $250,000 in 10 years? So the challenge is, can I do my giving while I'm living so I'm knowing where it's going, but also maximize the amount of money that's going to the kingdom?
That's fantastic. One, the way you phrased it was fantastic, and two, that is a really great point. I'd never really thought about that. One thing I forgot to do, I have to say, is I forgot to tell for anyone that this is resonating with and that you're interested in having this discussion with Roy. Roy, how do people get a hold of you?
You can either contact us by phone, or you can also go to our website, and you can even register for one of our workshops there.
Roy, we're going to take a break here. After the break, we are going to come back. We're going to have more discussions on faith, on money, on stewardship. That's coming up on Right on the Money.